I want you to know this. You don't have to continue to try to explain your calling, okay? And just get people to understand. You've been there, done that. You've experienced that. You need the right space to grow. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Raven Nole Show. I'm your host, Raven C. Nole. And as always, I am so glad for you being here with me today. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. Whether this is your first time or your 15th time coming on the show with me, tuning into the show, you are welcomed here. Make sure you leave a comment to let us know how you enjoyed this episode. But we are going to dive into it today. In this episode, we're about to get really real about something a lot of prophetic women don't like to say out loud, and that's how misunderstood we feel. If you've ever wrestled with feeling unseen, if you've ever wrestled with feeling as if people misread you or misunderstand you in that way, or even if you've been labeled because of your sensitivity or your spiritual depth, this one is going to be for you. Let's talk about the beauty of how you're wired and how to stop shrinking in rooms that were never meant to contain you. So let's get right into it. All right, prophetic women. If you think you're a prophet, know you're a prophet. If you have a prophetic gift, whatever that is, we're just wired differently. Okay. And this is why so many prophetic women feel misunderstood so often, because the truth is, you can't mask who you are, right? You may walk into an atmosphere and you start to automatically start to just sense things, right? You walk into a room and you can feel the tension in the room before anyone says a word. You can pick up on things happening spiritually, even if everything looks, good and dandy on the surface. Another thing that we experience a lot is grieving injustices very deeply. And sometimes, others can scroll past things or look past things, but it will sit with you for days and days and hours upon hours. And let's not even start talking about the burdens that we carry, that will not lift, will not just break off of us, will not come up off of us until we intercede, until we pray. And we can just go through times of just feeling very heavy and not knowing why. One minute you could be fine, and the next you're just like, okay, what is actually happening right now? What is actually happening in my life, in this room, whatever. And so you're just very wired to pay attention to patterns and to sense things and to be aware spiritually and to really, think about the timing of God, the signs of God, all those different things. And so you could be asking at any moment, God, what are you doing? Right? You can walk into a room or into a space or season of life, or even encounter someone else's life, and then you're automatically, okay, God, what are you doing? Right? people could be Other people could be focused on the external things happening, but you're like, okay, what is happening? God is in this. What is God saying about it? And so it can be very hard to explain. And a lot of times your inner world is often louder than your outer world. You can be quiet on the outside, but internally you're processing something, you're discerning something, you're praying, you're sensing, all at the same time. And so being a prophetic woman, it can be very hard. And sometimes you feel like, can anyone really understand this, right? If you're not in atmospheres, if you're not around others that just get it, other prophetic women who are experiencing the same thing, it can make you feel like, am I crazy? Or right? And so unless someone understands the prophetic, they'll never really understand who you are. And so this is why so many prophetic women feel misunderstood. But here's the truth I need you to hear. You're not too much. You're not broken. You're just different. And the Lord has designed you with a spiritual sensitivity to his movement, to what he's doing in the earth. He's just created you with a spiritual sensitivity to pick up on different things. And that just needs to be disciplined. It doesn't need to be dismissed. And what I know, that oftentimes when you are not in an environment that is accepting of you, or that really trains you or develops you or teaches you the language and articulation of who you are as a prophetic woman, it can be very common for you just to try to dismiss it, which it never goes away. No matter how hard you try, you can try to push it to the left or the right. It's still going to be there, right? But instead of dismissing it, you really just need to be disciplined in it. Now, let's talk about and be real about one of the hardest parts of being a prophetic woman or carrying something prophetic and feeling misunderstood by the people that are closest to you. Okay. That's a real thing as well. Being a prophetic woman, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to say it out loud. We don't want to acknowledge it, right? Sometimes we would just prefer to say, I'm okay, or just kind of try to go through your day, or just continue to interact with your family members and different things of that nature. Maybe you have family members that are not saved. Maybe you have family members that don't go to church and they don't have language or understand who you are as a prophetic individual. And so feeling misunderstood by the people closest to you, like family, like friends, or even your church, it can be harmful. It can hurt. It can deeply affect you. And again, they may not always have the language for what you're feeling. You can sense something and they don't sense the same thing, right? They can start thinking that maybe you're just too deep, or, all those different things that happen because they don't understand you and you're like the deep one. So and so, she always so deep. So and so, she always praying. So and so, she always up there at that church. All those different things that people say when they don't understand you. And it's because they don't. And so they'll try to fix you, they'll try to silence you, they'll try to suppress you, when they really should be sitting with you and trying to understand, but you can only expect them to give you what they have, right? And so I know that as a prophetic woman, you may have experienced in your family dynamic amongst, those that are closest to you, that they think that you're emotional or dramatic, or that you just overthink things. And, sometimes they may dismiss you as well. But I want you to understand again that they can only give you what they have to give. They may think that you're too much. They may think that you're making things up. They may feel like, so and so always got something. She talking about the Lord told her, all those different things that maybe they mock you or make fun of you because of. But I just want you to understand that it's not purposeful, right? In the sense that they desire to reject you. Most times it's because of their lack of knowledge and their lack of understanding. Okay. And so because of what you've experienced in your family dynamics, because of what you've experienced, with the ones closest to you, you may be going through some level of internal warfare right now. You may be fighting over the fact that you're a prophetic woman. You may be fighting over the fact of what you carry. You may start to think that what God has given you is not a gift, it's a curse, right? And so you can start to, second guess yourself, and all these different things start to happen. And it creates a dangerous cycle. Hear me, woman of God. It creates a dangerous cycle when you don't filter through what you may be experiencing, and the rejection or the pushing away that you may be experiencing because of what you carry. When you don't start to deal with that stuff, it can create a dangerous cycle, especially when it's coming from those that are most close to you. You will find yourself in a space of internal warfare that starts with silencing yourself, and then you start to suppress, and then you start to get more confused, then you start to disconnect, and then next thing you know, you are isolated. It is a dangerous cycle. And so I want to encourage you, okay? Encourage you. And that's what I'm going to be doing through this whole episode. I probably said that already, but I want to encourage you to really think about where you are in your journey. And if you've gotten to that place where you found yourself in this dangerous cycle, because you're not crazy, okay? More than likely, you're not off about the things that you are picking up about family members and the things that you are picking up about, friends and different things of that nature. More than likely, you're not off. You're just called, all right, in a different way. And you just have to be equipped to understand how that works, how that nature works. And that's why prophetic community is so important. That's why mentorship matters, because you need spaces where your voice isn't just something that feels tolerated, or your voice is not something that is swept under the rug, or who you are isn't minimized or diminished, but it's trained, it's developed. You learn, where do I put these dreams? What do I put these knowings that I have? I'm always picking up on something. How do I carry these things? How do I pray these things through? What do I do with this? Right. And so you need to be a part of an environment that can help you do that thing. Okay. Okay. So what do you do with all of this? What do you do with all the things that I've just said? You're probably like, Raven, you are reading my life right now. This is exactly what I've had to experience my whole life. This is exactly what I've been through. I'm going through it right now. What do I do with all of this? What do I do when I've spent years feeling like the odd one out? What do I do when I feel I've spent years feeling like the outcast, when my gift has been misunderstood and dismissed my entire life, and my difference makes me feel like a flaw? It makes me feel like something is wrong with me. Well, here's the truth. Number one, you have to stop shrinking, okay? Just to make people feel comfortable. You also have to start owning the way God wired you. I know, hear me. I know being misunderstood is hard, okay? But it is a part of the prophetic call. Even Jesus himself was misunderstood, okay? They expected him to be something that he was not. And he even said in the word that a prophet is without honor in his own hometown. And so you have to understand that carrying this nature, carrying this gift, what comes with it is being understood. But you don't have to stay wounded by that, okay? You don't have to stay wounded by being misunderstood. You don't have to stay wounded by being dismissed. You don't have to stay wounded by feeling rejected. You don't have to stay there. Just because it's a part of the call doesn't mean it has to define who you are as a person. You don't have to walk around with your head down, questioning who you are and just sad all the time and, just mad and angry and frustrated and all those different things. You don't have to do any of that. One of the ways God calls you into a place of healing that wound of, being misunderstood and being rejected is that he places you into prophetic community. There is power in being around women who get it, who don't think you're strange for, weeping and carrying a burden, who don't think that, you're strange because you say, listen, I had a dream last night and I think it was from the Lord. They don't think that you're strange because you're feeling heavy right now, something in your spirit, and you're like, I just don't have the language for it. I just don't have an understanding of it. They're going to see you, they're going to celebrate you, and they're going to support you when you are a part of the right community. That is how healing happens for the prophetic woman, for the prophetic individual, because all of a sudden, you're no longer explaining yourself. You're no longer trying to get people to understand you. You're no longer trying to tap dance for people to accept you. You are growing into who you are, and you are accepting who you are. And you see people around you who are also accepting who you are. Now, let me just add this too. We kind of touched on inner healing just a moment ago and just the need and necessary for healing. But I can't say this more than 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times over. Inner healing is a game changer for the prophetic woman, for the prophetic gift, for the prophetic individual. Because if you don't deal, if you don't deal with the pain of rejection, which is common, it is common for prophetic individuals, you'll keep seeing yourself through the lens of who didn't get you. You'll keep seeing yourself through the lens of who did not understand you instead of who God has called you to be. Inner healing allows you to detach your identity from the opinions of others. It allows you to move forward without all of that bitterness, without all of that fear, all of that shrinking back. All of that stuff just goes out the door when you start to heal, okay? And so it's time to stop apologizing for who you are. It's time to stop apologizing for your difference and embrace who God says that you are, okay? And so if this episode stirred something inside of you and you like, man, you made me feel seen, Raven. You gave me language to what I have been silently carrying and secretly carrying, for so long. I want you to know this. You don't have to continue to try to explain your calling, okay? And just get people to understand. You've been there, done that. You've experienced that. You need the right space to grow, okay? Again, you were never meant to shrink. okay, to be understood by others. You were never meant to, become a lesser version of yourself so that you can fit in. You were meant to be bold and to walk in clarity and in your purpose. And that's exactly why I want to invite you to the Becoming a Prophetic Woman Challenge, which is a 3-day experience where you'll find clarity in your gift, confidence in who you are as a person, and a community of women who understand exactly what you are carrying. If you've been praying for confirmation, you've been praying for mentorship, or just a space where you don't have to tone down who you are, this is it. Okay. So I want you to go ahead and tap the link in the show notes below to save your seat. It is absolutely free and it is an amazing time. It is a fantastic 3-day challenge for you to step into your next. And so we're going to be starting very soon, April 23rd through the 25th. So make sure you sign up. I would love to see your name on the list. Until next time, keep thriving and making an impact. See you soon.